Good evening to the massive entrepreneurs who are here on this platform. Um, we are very excited to have every one of us joining us this evening. Um, it always promises to be very exciting, and then we apologize very deeply for some of the technological glitches that we are still having on how we intend to make our presentation tonight. We will make a lot of advancement on this as we progress. That is an assurance for this program right now. So we want to thank you so much for being here tonight. It's something that we are very passionate about. We always want to know that there are people who are very much vested in what we are working on. Our goal has been one thing to ensure that we provide the best of insight, the best of knowledge, the best of understanding to the market out there. As we always say, um, there is a lot of value lost at the absence of knowledge and information, right? And in our own point of view, entrepreneurs have lost great values because they are unable to have the required know-how to provide the best of value to their market, right? And so that's why a forum like this has been created just to make sure that you are always hearing it and also having a chance to be able to ask questions and be able to get the best of insight and understanding that you need to provide the best value to your market. Really, there is a widened gap between people who are knowledge oriented and people who are just being very good but not knowing so much, just taking actions based on what their instincts tells them, right? There's a wide gap between people who have the right information and then people who are out there just doing what they want to do and how it suits them. So tonight, our goal has always been to ensure that you have the required information that will keep you at the best of where you need to be so that you can always on a consistent level be providing the highest of value to your market. There is a lot of shift right now in the market. The market is yearning for more. The market is yearning for more. The market is nothing, nobody else but you and I that are buying, right? So the market is asking for more. The market is saying, I need more, 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 I need outstanding, I need excellence, I need top level information, I need top level insight, I need, the market is craving for so much that you would have to be at the best of your game to be able to, consistently provide value to the market. And this is exactly why the this forum has been put together, just to ensure that all those insight, all those understanding that is required by the market, that you are at the best place to provide those value to your market, and all that. The best product, the best service, get the best attention of customers. And from this forum, we promise that you will be one of the best people who are always consistently doing that your market wants, so that it will be something that will add great value to be able to in your great value for you in your business and great value for the market that you are serving. Last week we were supposed to be having a conversation around what it takes to be a winning business, a business that is winning. And I think in the previous edition, we've mentioned that um, business is like a chess game. I know most of us know what chess is. Business is not is not far apart from the reality, or that realistic approach that people give to making things happen. So let me put it this way. I'm sure most of us have gone to school. We've gone to school. We are going to school, right? You know the efforts that you put to be able to be the best in your class. You are making effort, you are studying, you are reading the right materials, you are going to the right lectures, all of that, just that you can can get the best result. That's how it is for a business. A business that must win must first understand how to win, and then also be able to apply the knowledge of that you've understood to be able to win. These two things must come hand in hand. You must understand how to win, and then you now must be able to now apply that understanding before you're able to get the result and all of that. So it's not knowing how to win is where the problem is. For some people, people that are very vast in going through courses, programs, who know how to win. Oh, we've known all this, but being able to implement how to win is now becomes another challenge that one has to face. And also, um, this meeting tonight is going to expose our mind a little bit or strengthen our thoughts, right? For people to say, I've heard this, and yeah, you've always heard it. But when it keeps coming to you fresh, it gives you the advantage to be able to get it done. Because if you do not do the right things that will get the right result in your business, you will simply get frustrated, right? And all that. It's there are know-hows to how business must be conducted, and you must follow those know-how adequately. You must follow those know-how from step one to step two. In fact, I'm sure most of us, for some of us that do things like forex, or people that do crypto businesses or personal activities doing crypto, you see where you are required to, have a lot of charts, and then you're monitoring chart. You're seeing the dip, you're seeing the highs. You know when to sell, when to buy, all of that. That's exactly how your business works. You must be studying it like this with your eyes open, and you must be asking the right questions. Is this the right time to make this investment? Is this the right time to take this step? If I take this step now, will it give me the result that I'm looking for? You check, you double check, you do what your feasibility assessment, you check this investment I'm about to take right now. What is the potential yield? Oh, this is the potential yield. Is it good enough for me? Is it all I want? Do I want more? Do I want less than that? Okay, the approach. What is the best approach we're going to take now to be able to get this result? A lot of things. There's a lot of mathematics you must be doing. That's why I personally have always been encouraging that if you are, a business owner, at some point in your business, you must separate yourself from the daily operations of the business so that you can focus on strategy. Strategy, that chess game part, that part you're playing chess, it's a lot of work. You need to focus there and just stay there, draft the entire strategy, and then trickle it downwards to everybody within the system so that they're able to start implementing. It's supposed to be two ways. There are the strategy people. There are supposed to be the implementer or the operations. You have strategy, you have operations. So strategy must be on its own. Operations has to be. Now, that does not mean that while you are still in strategy, you can't also apply it. You can do both. Oh. But at some point in the business, depending on the areas you want to hit, a human being may not be able to be on both sides because it's a lot. You first of all look at creating your company's visions. For example, most of us, I don't know how many of us have created visions for our businesses and all that. I don't know how you did the vision. I don't know what you looked at. I don't know if you understood the market properly before you said this is the vision we have or this business has, right? And there are two things. There's a vision you have for the business, and there's a vision of the business in the market. Please take note of that. There are vision that you as a founder has for the business, and there's the vision the business itself has to the market. There need to be a bit of a dichotomy between these two sides, but that's a different conversation when we look at a corporate strategy and all of that. But this vision thing, it has, so when you look at the approaches you are looking at. So on the by the time you draft out what your vision is very core, then somebody has to sit at the strategy room, making all the checks, all the balances, all the plugs, all the moves to ensure that that vision you are going by or you intend to apply by is consistently met. Then from the strategy. That strategy now involves how you intend to carry out your operations, your modus operandi, the approach you intend to take for your operations vis-a-vis the vision. Or yeah, that's what it. That strategy is like the engine, is like the fulcrum. You know, the mesh in a machine system, it's like the fulcrum. It is giving power to everybody across board. So, but where there is no proper strategy put in place, or strategies can actually be designed, but again, it depends on how efficient it is, right? So, you did not put in a very good thought to approach you intend to make, and you are just taking actions, which is a strategy to you. Your strategy can, when you match it side by side, people who have more information, who have more data, discover that whatever you are doing is actually not the right thing. You know, there are you're actually more like very far from what it should be. So that's why there's a lot a winning business. So in a nutshell, a winning business must be number one, an intelligent business. Please, you can take that note down. A winning business must number one be what? An intelligent business or intelligence driven business. Yeah. What that simply means is that your decisions within the business must be driven by top level intelligence. It must not be you and you now just waking up one day and say, you know what, hey, we're going to just do this, we're going to do that. No, no. It's everything's going to be on a top level intelligence, top level intelligence. You must be deeply and very well informed about your business before you begin to take the right actions that will give you the right result that you are looking for. You know, so everything must go side by side. Everything must go side by side. You must deep dive and study intensely the business that you intend to do, and do a very deep study on the market and what the market entails before one is actually able to dive very deep and start taking action. So intelligence driven business, or business intelligence, must is the number one approach that you need to take when it comes to a winning business. The number two, I think we all know this already. The number two is what we call um, having the it's what we call having the willpower, or what I best call the willpower. The willpower, right? The willpower. Um, when you have made a decision on what to do, and you do not have the best willpower or the grit, yes, that's what I was looking for. The grit. You don't have the grit to stay, to be able to execute your strategy. Whatever you have designed as strategy or intelligence will just end up as intelligence on paper and will not actually be able to yield for the desired result. Please take note of what I'm just saying right now. Intelligence is on its own. Execution is on its own. And execution also at the bulk of execution is both intelligence as well, and most importantly, grit, or the willpower. Yes, because it will get tough at some point. You already have your data, or you know that, okay, if we take actions on A, B, C, it's going to give us this result. And you've done your very best intelligent assessment. Everything is very clear. Everything is very awesome, straightforward. Things are quite on a very clear level. You know, everything is all good for you. There's no room for you to think. Everything is just top level. You've even to match it in industry for validation and say, yes, this is like the best you can have. This is the best result. By the time you are done, now execution now becomes the next requirement. Now, executing then requires grit, or requires a very strong pursuit of what you are looking for. Grit must be at the base of that, because um, executions most of the times, not all the time, is often different and often harder than the way it was foretold, or maybe the way you forecasted it. Yes, intelligence helps you to forecast. Execution helps you to see the reality. That's just like that. So you intelligently forecast, and then you now stay on intelligence. I mean, you now stay on grit, you know, to be able to implement what you have forecasted. implement what you have forecasted, because what you have forecasted is is based on all the data that is available, which if you do a very good intelligent analysis, you actually get the right data. But when you're not implementing, there's certain things that, of course, no matter how extensive you are during your intelligence process, you will not actually be able to get the feedback on what to do. But when you start implementing, then you begin to feel it. So your intelligence process might involve you running a pilot assessment. Now that pilot assessment um, will, when you do a pilot assessment or pilot survey, you're only just checking with maybe one or two, three, four, 5 persons. But when you start executing, you are now talking to the entire population that you intended to move with. Maybe let's say they are up to about 100 persons, 200,000 persons. So you sampled with 50 persons. You're not implementing. You're not touching 200,000 persons to implement. You see, it's a whole lot of a whole lot of difficulty you're just going to face in the process and all that. So you forecasted, right, based on intelligence of the inflation that may likely happen when you start executing. And I'm sure in the course of doing that, you also looked at the timeline too, based on the historical data you have about the market fluctuations. You say, okay, we forecast that maybe in the next 3 months, this data is going to be valid. Then, but because life is life, right? You hit the execution process and you realize that, hey, that there was just a very sudden, unexpected policy from the company, from the government, or unexpected. The market world runs with what do you call it, with perceptions and people's feeling. So there was this unexpected, very terrible incident or accident or situation that just happened, which nobody foresaw at all, right? And it just happened, boom, and it's all over the news. Everybody's scared. People are now pulling back, and then because of that, the capital market now takes a different turn, and because it takes a different turn, the inflation just shifts, dips a little bit higher than you estimated it within the timeline and even the margin that you gave, because nobody foresaw that. Even historically, that issue had not happened before, right? So there's no way your data would have told you that. So you just hit it, right? And at that point, you see that you need an extra level of strength to actually be able to stay through in keeping your plans going and all of that. Or maybe part of your plans, part of your analysis involved you maybe going to, if it involves you raising capital, and you're very sure from this process capital can be raised if you're able to follow this entire thing. And then when you want to go and raise capital to be able to implement what you needed to implement, execute for some reasons that was not part of the data, you discover that capital may not be able to come out, or come out at the expected volume or that was initially forecasted. That again becomes a very big shift or huge gap that will not affect how you go. So if you do not have the grit or the staying power at such point, you will give up. And these are part of the things that actually affect a business to be able to move forward to the next level. And and this is part of the thing that differentiate between a winning business and a non-winning business. So everything boils down to number one, the intelligence that is being applied, the intelligence applied in the business, number one, and then secondly, the grit that is also applied to execute the intelligence, right? That I use the word grit because um life at the marketplace, oh no, life at the marketplace is a whole lot different at life at the boardroom when you are planning. And I've emphasized on this so much because we are a living witness. We know what we go through, intensely. It's a whole lot of different things. Um, let me even talk about maybe when you eventually get to meet with, for example, your marketing people. You've been able to, part of your strategy map as involves, or playbook involves, drafting the best marketing team or the best sales team, and you brought your best sales team, and these guys are very good. Again, you're getting the best sales team. You may also find some gaps there or issues there, because you're getting the kind of talent you need may require certain kind of expenses, which at the time you are checking, you don't have the capacity to. So you're just limiting yourself with what you have the capacity and the resource for. And by so doing, you now enter the market, and then you see your sales team, uh, they're about to go for sales, and they hit a certain kind of client that maybe by the time you're pulling up your pitch, I ask before halfway into the line, they say, oh, wait, just I know these things. They just scatter you a little bit. Just say a few things that will just disturb your emotions a little bit, and for like the next 5-10 minutes, you are trying to reorganize yourself to be able to continue speaking. And when you now start speaking, you are jittering. You are jittery. You are a bit so you're unable to actually communicate to pass information, and then you return back without winning that client, and all of that. But your execution, I mean, your strategy involves that you could have been able to won this client with the following approaches. Or as you went to go and take that approach, one unexpected uncle just hit you and just said some things in between the meeting that scattered everything, and that's how you were unable to do that. And then you see this repeating itself over time. Of course, that's when you start looking at let's say village will be on top of matter. But yeah, these are part of the things that you get to meet in the market that basically differentiates one for being able to win. So in all of this, um, what is now most important is, as you have now understood that these are the following factors that may likely occur, you now need to begin to design systems to ensure that you are able to check yourself against these things and also be able to avoid all of these things, all of the factors that could mitigate executing your plan. And this factor now leads us to the third factor that ensures a winning business, which is systems, systemization, systemization, systemization. I'm hitting this like 3 times now. The first thing I mentioned here is intelligence, right? Market driven intelligence. Number two is grit, right? The number three now is systemization. I'm talking about factors that can enable a winning business and can yield you a winning business, right? Systemization is everything, God's people. It's everything. It's everything. The people that sort of know me personally, like you keep preaching system. I say, I mean, I've seen how simple and organized life can be when we systemize. Can you imagine a situation where you send an email or you put a phone call to a company, for example, and then somebody picks up your call and then speaks to you in a certain way. After that conversation, directs you to where you need to take the next action, and then once you move there, it didn't take so long, you move it to that place. For no happen, you are the final place you actually want to be and get the result. You come out, you have issue, they give you a hotline to mail your issue. As soon as you mail that issue there, 30 minutes, somebody reply the issue and then reply the email, and or less than that, I even called you on the phone to get all the information. And then in about a day or so, everything is all resolved and you're happy. And that happens, and it happens on a consistent level. Tell me, how would you feel about such organization? You know, that only happened because those people sat down and designed system for this. And yeah, that's what I mean by system. An organized way of achieving a result. That's just it. So you have gained your intelligence, you now have the grit for execution, you are a macho man, you can be able to execute. Then you now went ahead to now use that execution power to now design system. So you look at your business, you break it down into different blocks. There's a strategy block, there's a top management block, there is customer service block, there is sales block, there is marketing block, there is complaint block, there is operations block, just different blocks. Just break it all down. Then now sit down carefully with the best of heads you can afford, you can have, and begin to design system. This is for this size to operate. These are the following risks that are likely to you can this is what to do, but this is what to do, but this you design them. At the end of the day, that's things like your SOP. That's why things like see document like SOP, standard operating procedure, are not supposed to be just a document. No, it is actually a system that is written down, a system written down tactfully. It's not a chat GPT document. No, it's a document that was intentionally pre-thought and pre-designed for accomplishing a particular result. You understand? That's how it works. And then everything it tilts upward towards the corporate objective of the organization. That's how it works, like a triangle. Now, a small businesses don't think this way. It's only small businesses actually don't think the way I'm thinking now, because actually a bit demanding to get these things. But what you do not know is that the difference between you and the large businesses, for example, the MNCs, the bigger boys, is apart from their capital prowess, right? Is their ability to have moved themselves away from the one man person into a systemized and well structured business with all these factors I'm mentioning. First, they didn't delve into the market with um with their mindset, or I thought there is a place of your inner conviction. That's another thing I'm not mentioning, but maybe that will be part of the connections we are going to talk in the future. I think there's a place where you need to make decision. Not even you've seen the data, everything is fine, but just pay attention very deeply. Even though this data says this, I think you should go do this. There's a place for that. Yeah, it's part of the things you're going to witness in the course of the business. There's a place for that. But most 100% of the time, or 99% of the time, that intelligence you have applied actually really guides you much better and everything. That put that aside. The difference between your business and theirs is that they've been able to find a way to put all of these things in place. So if you, as a small business owner, is actually able to um, uh, is actually able to really implement. Sorry, I just saw a little pop up here. I'm trying to actually understand what the issue is. Just a second, please. If you're still able to hear me, can you just make a comment on the chat so that I know I have not lost this powerful audience right now? Just make a comment in the chat, please. Your favorite emoji or something. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. All right. So the difference now is that even at the small scale level where you are operating right now as a small business, if you're able to actually develop all of these structures at a small scale level, you become a standout from other small businesses. Yes, there's a lot of things that makes a small business. In fact, according to um, what do you call them again? NBS, Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. Am I correct on that? And sorry, I'm trying to remember this body that defined what a small business is, right? There are two definitions basically. Well, Nigerian Bureau, just the NBS, the National Survey Body, right? And there's this agency that's actually very in charge. SMIDAN, yes, SMIDAN. Oh, sorry. According to BOI and SMIDAN, Bank of Industry and SMIDAN, right? They have their different definitions of what a small business is. Part of the metrics they use is your turnover per year. That's what you make, amount of revenue you make, your number of staff, and I think one other factor. These are the factors they use to identify small businesses. But they did not put. There's no information about systems in place. No, no, systems cannot be what you use to measure, because even at a small scale level, as a small business, you can actually have efficient system. So yes, you may not have the capital power that the bigger boys have, the large scale organizations have. And because you don't have the capital power, you don't have the enough kind of manpower strength that they have. You also don't have the kind of infrastructure they have, because they do things on a larger scale level. Their turnovers per year, let's say these are people that are churning out over 1 billion products. Their annual total volume of production is like 1 billion, 1 billion, 1.2, 1 billion, 1.5, right? And you in your own industry, you're just doing 10, 15, 20, 50, 100. So there's no match. And the reason you're not unable to do that is that you don't have the capital, you don't have the human resources, you don't have the other things that can actually help you to have that large scale production and all that. It's a different thing. So, but even at your small scale level, which 5, 10, 15, 20 staff, and churn out about 100 volume of results per day, per time of assessment, with appropriate system in place, you can actually differentiate yourself from every other business. That's why in our own organization, part of my work on a daily basis, when my family speaks like, you don't rest, you don't say, it's because we are not where we supposed to be. So part of my work is sitting down to craft out systems that we have to apply by, because when you look at what the corporate strategy is for an organization, you now know that to be able to get really hit this strategy, there must be efficiently designed systems that are aligned with it. That's those systems must be pre-designed and must be tested in such a way that you are very sure that when followed this way, it gets you to the intended result. All of that. So it's a part of the things one has to invest in because it must be done. It has to be done. And one thing that makes it quite tough is that for a small business, for example, growing business, you may not be able to have the even when you employ, for example, a consultant like Astute, and say, Astute, please come and help me. For someone like me, I would still appreciate that you are right in the middle of the entire thing. Don't ask us to come and help you and you go sit home, sit down and rest. We can do the job for you efficiently, fine. But there is going to you might just wake up one day and discover that your company is looking a different way that you don't even know about because you invited a consultant to come and help you craft your system and you were not part of the system design process. You were just please come just do your thing, make sure it's all signed, everything is all good, and then you go home, you pay them their check, they go home. You finish doing that, wake up one day, I want to take this action. I said, no, sir, that's not how it's supposed to be done. According to our SOP, this is like, what do you mean according to SOP? It's my company. But sir, this is the SOP you signed out. Now, this is what you said we should, this is the new way of doing things. So how are we now doing it differently and all of that? So you realize that, but where is this coming from? I mean, this is my company. But you realize that you didn't know that when the system was being designed, because you gave the entire thing out to the consultant to handle and refused to be part of it because of your busy schedule. I understand that you end up getting seeing a system that a company that is now way different from what it is that you have known it for, and that becomes a problem for you. So you cannot take yourself away from at that stage when you're still designing your systems for you must be at the center of it. So it's another work on its own. In fact, I usually do recommend that at such time, you try to take yourself away from some of the operational work you may be involved with, right? And just stay there because that one alone is a lot of work. When your consultants have gone ahead, make their inquiries and then come back to tell you, you must sit back and go through all their plans and programs. Say, this one, I'm not sure this is in order because you understand the industry far more than they are. Even if I mean your consulting team, of course, is coming, they're coming with experience in the industry. They are not as experienced or they don't have the pain that you that is wearing the shoe is facing. They are trying to put themselves in your shoe, right? Of course, depending on how large you want your team to be. If you're able to, pay in the required resources, people can actually go and maybe borrow an MD of a company and say, please come and join this. Of course, but that MD you must have paid the person so well to be willing to leave whatever they are doing for sometimes just so that they can be able to provide a better life realistic data of what you're trying to do. But see that it's almost not realistic to do that, right? So within the confines of the information they have, the actual person within the structure, you feel the pain far more, you understand the scopes far more, you know everything. So you must be at the middle to say what you are doing is great, but if you can move it this way or that way, it can give us better results. Why? Because in 1986, when my father was in this business, we encountered this problem, and this is what happened. This was says, it's not so. No, I'm telling you, this is what the issue we have. And then if those data actually helps your consulting team to be able to, do the right thing they ought to do and all that. So that's why you can't take yourself away from such design. And I think I give a lot of kudos to ISO 9001, the most ISO standards that which is one of the things we actually deliver to the market. One of the things that are very big on is leadership involvement or leadership commitment to the system because without leadership, system can actually run, but it will not be. There's going to be a lot of dichotomy. This is what system says you should do. MD is on his and is like saying you should do this other one. Okay, if you don't do this one, you leave my company. And you are damaging the system. You are damaging the system. At this point, we need to conduct audit in the following. MD says audit care, where we have these supplies, this customer just hit us. No, we can't do that audit. Please just kind of audit, put it somewhere. And that audit, if you don't do it now, you're going to accumulate a lot of issues that will cause problems for the system. MD says, I beg, is the audit giving us money? I beg, carry it and go. But when the MD is part of the system design process, understands the implication of each system mapped out, They will give it all the participation. In fact, when that time comes and such issue arises, what them do will be thinking of is okay, so what can we able to maybe get a little bit of extra hand or shift away such a way that this audit can be going on while we're still solving this problem, because we need to win this business. So we can't lose this customer. But we can't not do this audit. It has to happen now. So how can we be able to marry both? That's how an involved and committed leadership would actually take actions at such time. So these are part of the things that would need to be done at the end of the day. So today we've discussed about three factors that can actually make a business winning. It will be a winning business in the market. And you realize that in the three factors I mentioned, I did not I did not say bring in finance anywhere. That is because that's what most people will hear. Winning business. It's true. Now we have to be capitalized. True. Very, very correct. But you see, if you have capital and you lack these first three factors, you will burn that money, you will burn it, and you'll be looking for it. Yes. You see the way I said this? I said it calmly. Let's have it once. If you have those capital you are looking for, and without these three things I just mentioned, that you will burn that money. You will not, you will blow it. You will not know where it will go. I remember a lot of times when we started Astute, and personally, I was looking for capital. I had a lot of big vision, just trying to see how we push ourselves. And so I went on a capital hunting spree, talking to all the Odogus to see how we can be able to partner somewhere and be able to bring in capital to do one or two. I remember the amount I was asking for at the time. Um, it's very funny because not even up to 1 year, let's say 6 months after that. I mean, I didn't get the capital at the time, anyways. That's just to put it out there. But 6 months after that time, I was like, God, I thank you. Thank you. Say this money no enter my hand, because that thing I was that the entire strategy I had then on how to disburse these funds, I was going to cost us, so maybe by now I would have been in deep pains, because I don't know how I would have dealt with the horror or the pain of losing such an amount of money on very awkward business moves. I'm not sure I'll be able to forgive myself, right? And then plus all the issues that we're having with the dogus that we've gone to collect money from. It would have been a very painful moment at such point. So I was happy that I mean, I remember I prayed very well back in those days, just to make sure this money came in, and it didn't come in. As one was just feeling the pain somewhere, and then just 6 months actually far. I think it was just less than about 3 to 4 months downwards. So I realized all that we wanted to achieve was going to be achieved in a different way. That's how we redesigned the entire structure of how we intended to move, and started moving like that. And we started getting results. We didn't need to actually have such an amount of money. I mean, if it was available, fine, it would have given us, So we fast forward from then to now. So that's why I said, if you have all of these things now, at the time we didn't have intelligence, very good intelligence, well thought out intelligence. Not the one that you sat down with your head and be doing. No, you have a very good team, everybody understanding their job, and then going to the market, ask the right questions. Today we were discussing with a client just earlier before this business this meeting, where we're making a presentation. So one of the things that the top management says that we are already a believer in this thing you're about to say. I don't think we at this point in time now, this is actually how we intend to hear from you. There are other people out there who have not believed. You know, we have believed this thing that you're about to pass right now. So, that feedback, when we got that, it was quite interesting because when you are looking at how to design, how to communicate to your market. Now, before coming for that meeting, we thought there was no intelligent discussion. In fact, at that point when that information came out, we looked a little bit like, you did your homework well, how come? But of course, you have to find a way to strengthen yourself and return back and say, and of course, we asked a few questions, but maybe we didn't deep in ourselves with some questions. But if we had, maybe the approach would have been a little bit different too. This is how we should have made our presentations and all of that, so that it matches exactly with what they want to hear. That kind of precision. This is exactly what I want to hear from you right now. not this other thing you're saying. So that's the one thing about intelligence. So the intelligence that we used to work at the time, which guided us on how to design that thing, wasn't the best of intelligence. It wasn't the very, because we did not ask the very right question. Like, ask questions and verify, which takes me to some of the things that people have complained about me most times. You are asking a lot of questions now. You are putting so much stress on me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's because if I'm coming out to speak about a matter, it must be downloaded in a way that you know that this person knows what he's saying. And that only comes when I do a lot of investigative checks. If I'm studying, I can't pick up book now. You just tell me Obi is a boy and Obi likes. No, I have to find out why is Obi a boy. What are the factors that this author considered before making Obi a boy, or before thinking Obi should be a boy? I mean, there are other things that the fact the person must have missed out. That's why when I start a book, it takes a while because I process things so much. Like I keep passing you questions. And if you are an author and you're before me, you may not like me because I will ask you questions. And I thank God for some of the experience, professional experience that we have as an auditor, who you must find a way to independently generate answers to be able to match with your audit objective to see whether or not a certain criteria has been met or not. So for you to do that, you have to be extremely objective and very investigative. You know, every factor, every is must lead to an I. There must be leading a lot of things. So that's how one's brain is sort of wired. So I see myself applying that in the course of uh, studying book, even things like for example, my personal fellowship. When I pick up my Bible to study, for example, yes, I'm a faith person and I believe a lot in it. And so when I pick up, for example, my Bible to study, in just one chapter, I could spend a lot of time because I will ask you a question. I will ask you a question. Who is the author that wrote this book? What was in your mind when you were writing this book? This book was written about 6,000 years ago, based on calculations and all that. Who were your audience at that time? Who were you speaking to? What did you have in mind when you were writing this letter to them? How does it apply to me right now in my own world that just lived 6,000 years after? You see, I'm sure hearing this, you are laughing. That's so. When you come out to speak on a matter, okay, there's so much of loaded um, information because you didn't just skim through, you deep dived, you went inside the ocean, you got at the bottom of it. So these things must be thoroughly applied. So back in the time, we didn't apply all of that, and so our intelligence was intelligence, so but it wasn't very thoroughly cooked. So of course, what we now saw Bibi back was that, oh, that thing would have burnt all of the trust and all that, and that's why I thanked God, and even yeah, yes, thanks for that, Lady. That's really these things are awesome. So I thanked God at the time to be able to that these things didn't happen at the time, and then now we're able to provide much more value. We're able to do things in line with how it's supposed to be. So back to what I was saying, right? I did not add capital to that list of three because if you do not, if you have capital and do not have those first three, you will be tearful one day. You will wake up and you'll be tearful. I have seen people make decisions on business that is, I'm like the only reason you are okay is that somehow you are so cash protected. Like the person has a lot of money. So when you burn out like 15M, 20M, lose like 20M, 50M, it pains you somehow. Yeah, I've seen somebody that lost 50M in a very terrible. It was a very terrible audit situation. I think it was a financial auditor. So it wasn't so some factors were missed out, and at the end of the day, some 50M share just was swallowed by a snake or something. I don't know. But the Odogu was still Odogu, was still doing fine and still even buying property, investing much in the business, self-investment. Like, yeah, God, we have to have this kind of deep pocket. So it's not everybody that can do that. You hit that kind of roadblock, you will shut down, you will crash. Some persons 550M is all they have, and you lose that amount of money, you go home. And all of that. So that's why capital is not the the box of the entire thing, right? What actually really matters is this first three factor. First, you must have very thorough intelligence, very thorough. Every decision you are making in your business, ask yourself, is this the best decision that should be made? Every move is like a chess game. Every move you're making, every trying to win this, trying to win that, is that the best move you have to make? Is there something else we could have done differently? That's why, again, I will encourage you, no matter how small you are, please try to work as a team. I beg you. Try to have these people that will always second check your thoughts. You want to make a move, you just bring your guys, just come on board. My brother Alpha, we want to see what are the reason for my business. So, I want to do this. And wait, those people must know. Another factor, there must be people of like mind, people that can actually give you value. That's if you don't have your guys, you can be a mentor, but somebody who is able to give you, who understands the context of your discussion and is able to add value. These are the people you should bring on board and actually talk to them. See, I'm about to make this move, and these are the factors on ground of that. What do you think? And all of that. The people tell you. So at the end of the day, you're able to see the all factors when we looked at before you now make such move and all of that. Yeah. So and then when you have not decided that yes, this is what you are supposed to do, then you now have to have the grit. See, there are some days that you wake up, you'll be very tired. Yes, you'll be tired. You feel like running away. There's some days you melt down. You hit the toilet like this, for example. Toilet is actually a place of, it's not a place of comfort for so many people. If you know, you know. There's a lot of comfort. There's so much comfort there. Or a running tap. If you have a bathtub, that you just sink inside water. Forget about life. That point is a place where you, because it can just be, it can be crunchy most times, especially for an SME, because at the level you are, you're still part of strategy. You're still part of the operations, the daily operations of the company. You are still inside there, making sure things are done, customers are served the way they're supposed to. You're also making sure that the moves the company is supposed to be making, you are making those moves effectively. So it's a lot of work for you. At some point, you will just crash. You feel like, so you need grit to stay. It will be burning at some point. At some point, it will be very burning. You are unable to, you know, especially sometimes maybe capital is not coming the way this client hasn't paid, this hasn't happened, or a lot of things are not merging as you expected it. Yeah, and then you need to make some certain things. It can be, but you must have the grit. Why? Because every person you admire today who has done well in business have faced what you are facing and still facing it in their current place. Now, I'll end up a little bit. I'm winding down now. Currently, go and check out the wealthiest man in the world, according to Forbes, is Elon Musk. He's currently valued at about 400 billion USD. Currently, that's his value right now, valuation right now, which is a lot of money, my people. Is a lot of money, right? 400 billion USD, over 400 billion USD actually. He's hitting towards 500 now. Very recently, especially towards that period where he had some fallout with the president of the United States, President Donald Trump. He's before that time, and even that time, I mean, he was part of the Dodge, the new department designed to sort of help America, United US government to minimize its spending, which is it is that unit that everybody, almost of the INGOs are cursing now, because it's that unit that made sure that USAID, US aid was cut off, and a lot of jobs. In fact, I've spoken to, if not three or four persons within this week that lost job. Their project was funded by US aid, and when the thing was entirely cut off, they were on their own now. Very sound people, but they are now in the market looking for job and all of that because of what the Dodge people did, and Elon Musk was part of the entire Dodge. So that entire PR of the Dodge and some fallout with President Trump and a lot of other things, started affecting his stock. You see people also some not very good PR, like people driving their truck, going making his public forum and saying that today they are replacing their Tesla with other kind of EVs, electric vehicle, and all of that. Some of them, so their stock started going down and down. Of course, the man is a very big boy. I mean, somebody at 400 billion USD. How much is going down will really touch him. But he had some little headache at that time, and he had to make certain moves, very difficult moves. He had some meltdown personally. I mean, He had this, of course, he's a human being. He feels the pain. If you felt the pain of being on top of the world and somehow you think that that being on top of the world one day is going to be crashed down, you will feel the pain, no matter how odogu you are. So my point here is that even the odogus are feeling the pain, and it's only their grit that keeps them. So these people are facing heavy back. If you know the amount of lawsuits that people are hitting on, what's his name, Elon Musk right now, or let me even say the one that is even tougher is Donald Trump. In fact, I do not believe that Donald Trump would have been able to win the ticket of Republicans to return back, and then finally, not just that, he returned back and became the president again after the first time. That man is one person you need to go and learn his grit. Do you know the amount of lawsuits they were heaping him everywhere? But somehow he was able to withhold that entire force of the whole thing, the whole we don't want him because Trump is Trump. He does not, I mean, he's not a like in terms of the way you don't the way he is, just know that that's you know what to get from him. So the current his structure of doing things is not working so nice with how the Democrats, which are the championing democracy, I really want America to look like. So of course, there's a lot of noise about we don't like this, we don't like that. For some, the other day when Israel and Iran was fighting, and they had some. He went to the house to ask for permission to be able to enter. Before he even got that permission, he has already launched a strike on the three nuclear sites of Iran. See that thing that Trump did can actually should have erupted a third world war because Russia was backing Iran, and the NATO, of course, are backing USA, of course, backing Israel, who is also an ally. US is an ally of Israel, and then what's these people's name? North Korea. They may not be so much around them, but when it comes to war, when it comes to dying in the course of war, these guys are ready. And a lot. So it was going to upset the entire world system. A Trump would have sat down. Maybe Joe Biden wouldn't have done that striking. They would still be negotiating if they are going to make it. And by now, missiles will still be crossing between Iran and Israel, like heavily right now. But this guy, the guy, know the I don't. His wire is not connecting very well. Pam pam, everywhere just blew everywhere, and then it was supposed to cause a third world war. I mean, it can be looming. I don't know. For now, there's a bit of calmness among the Middle East. There's a ceasefire right now, which both parties have honored between Iran and Israel. And so my point is, people know him. He has that. So most Americans don't like what he did. In fact, they've come to protest heavily in Washington. He's not my president. Let him go. It's not him you're talking to. Now, I'm not a pro Trump, but there's something I'm bringing out here. Grit, yeah, because of the grit, he's able to stay stronger with holding all the pressure because pressure will come. Then it is going to come. So the point I'm bringing out here is that whether the bigger boys at their stage are still facing the pressure, and it is their grit that has kept them and all that. So you need to have that very well imbibed. It will run you if you fail to have grit, you will run out of business. I guarantee you will run out. That statistics of 100% started business in about second year in business, about 50 of them crashed. Other 50 continued in about 5 years. About 30 of them crashed also. Before 15 years, it was only remaining five. You might be part of those that will go because it will happen. It's not an easy job to be there, but you must have the staying power. And then lastly, you must systemize, as I've said earlier, and all of that. So with all of these things put in place, once you have them in place, then when the capital is not coming to you, when you're able to deploy a good capital on the back of intelligence, grit, and system, you in fact the sky would be where your room starting, and then the of course heaven or any other place would not be where you'll be ending eventually. So these are all that it takes for an SME, a small business, to win. And I trust that we've been able to pick up one or two, and we can actually be able to implement all of these things eventually to help us be able to win. So um and that's it. So thank you so much. I wish there's a way I can be able to get one or two questions, maybe on the chat or something, just at least if there's anything that is a bit confusing or something you want to hear a little bit more, or something you want us to throw a little bit light on, there's a way you can actually drop. We will most appreciate and we can actually provide that little answer and before we call this today's Business Friday. Yay! To a close. Yes. So I'll just be waiting for maybe a comment on the chat and okay. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been a very very exciting day. Personally, I'm going to return back to listen to all of these things because bless there's one anointing that was happening when I was flowing while we were speaking. I have to actually sit back and hear myself again personally because I've not personally thought about some of these things, when it comes to putting a lot of context, but being privileged to be in that world where you are trying to make sure that what is on your hand doesn't die. These are how we survive so far and keep surviving. So it's been a wonderful time for me personally, and I'm sure for every one of us. So thank you for joining us this evening. It promises to get better and better and better. We're still trying to run around this small techie thing, but we will get much better beyond this from now. And um, we already have, like I promised in the first meeting, we have very well versed business leaders that we actually intend to bring on board in programs like this so that they can share their thoughts too. You can hear them speak. They are on standby. We've had personal conversations with them. You just to pull an invitation for them to come on board and then you can hear them. So we're looking forward to in our subsequent programs. It will be a mix of not just my face, but other business leaders who are actually able to share their own view or their own experiences to strengthen you. So please, if you have not yet subscribed on this platform, kindly subscribe and then hit the notification button so that you can always get notified whenever we drop videos or content that will enrich you here. So this is Astute Business Consult, the foremost management consulting firm specially designed to handwork the SMEs through the ticks and the bonds of establishing a very viable business and also is designed to provide a lot of strength to even established large businesses towards ensuring their systems are highly benchmarked to the requirements of globally benchmarked international standards and also ensure that the decisions being made or the market actions are taken on the back of very well informed market data. So there's a lot about us and how we do what we do and what we do and what we do. So I encourage you to subscribe on this platform and hit the notification button and also visit our website at www.astutebusinessconsult.com. Just hit that place. There's a whole lot of package there for you as both an SMB or established large business. And whichever you find appealing, talk to us through the channels there and we will get right back to you and from there provide you the value that you desire to have. So see you same time in next week, same platform, same environment. Thank you and have the best of the weekend to come or best of the weekend. Thank you and goodbye.